Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl, Grace Tori, and I'm back with a whole new podcast episode. Today we are just reading stories that I found on Best of Redditor updates and was like, okay, I need to know what happened. Like, they're juicy, they're drama-filled, the titles are crazy, and I felt like I needed to share them with you. I need to go over these with someone. I need to talk to someone about this. So a lot of them have to do with either exes or like your friend's partner, so best friend, casual friend. So it's kind of has a theme. But at the end of the day, it's just I want to spill tea and I have no one to talk to about this except for you. So that's what we're doing. Before I jump in, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow, whatever the term is on whatever platform you are listening or watching on. Engaging takes like 0.2 seconds, if that. It's totally free and it helps me reach my dream. So if you're feeling like being nice today and you want to do something small that like has a big impact on someone, that's a way to do it. If you're on YouTube and you could hit that hype button, it helps small creators get recognized and shown to more people because we don't have the same stretch as a million subscriber YouTuber. So if you have a second, you can just hit that hype button. I would really appreciate it. You can only do it the first week or so that it's out, but it helps me reach more people so that we can all chat about the tea together, share our opinions, and just like kiki, have a good time. Now that all of that is out of the way, let's go ahead and jump on into our first story. I'm Grace Story, and you're listening to That Girl the Podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in, because the new episode is starting now. All of these are from Best Redditor updates. I mentioned that. But if you like updates, you hate not knowing how it ends, everything on my channel, for the most part, is updates and conclusions of some sort. I'm not going to read something that doesn't have the ending unless I do it on accident or some sort of ending, because I can't sleep at night if I don't. Like, I have to know what happens. So if you are a big fan of that, hey, I'm your girl. But let's jump on in. Am I the a-hole if I back out of being maid of honor at my best friend's wedding next weekend? Best man is my ex-fiance who cheated on me, and I can't be around him, let alone walk arm in arm with him. I feel like this one's going to be full of hot takes, and we're going to be divided because I already feel a type of way, but I will give it the benefit of the doubt. So the original post is from May 4th, 2019. Jump into the worst week of my life. I was with my ex-fiance for 6 years. Loved him with every fiber of my being. Wedding planned for August. Refused a job offer so I could move with him for his next Air Force assignment. Monday, a call girl from a website called Massage Republic texts him in the middle of the night saying she's reaching out to old clients because she's back in the game. His phone was at my house while he was flying. I text back she must have the wrong number. She says she doesn't. In a moment of brains, I pretend to be him instead of the jealous girlfriend, and call girl gives me all the details. I'm such a fool. This had been happening under my nose for years. I confront him. He claims to be a spice addict and promises to change. I consider it for half a second and say, no. Cue uncontrollable crying, self-doubt, a battery of STD tests, awkward encounters with him, fighting over the ring, his mom, who I loved, calling me nonstop and begging me to reconsider, and on and on. That's so hard. I just want to pause and say, like, when you break up with someone because they cheat or something like that, obviously it's not because you don't like them or you don't love them or you wouldn't have been with them in the first place. So it still hurts. And all these people calling and saying, like, please reconsider it, that doesn't help because it makes you want to reconsider. But if they were thinking of you in your best interest, they wouldn't want you to get back with a cheater or someone who doesn't treat you like you deserve. It's hard to push through that when even just one person is like, you know what, you can work through this, and you like actually love them. But let's keep reading. And on top of all of this, my best friend is marrying his best friend May 11th. Groom doesn't want to rock the boat at this late date in selecting a new best man. Bride says she has way too much on her plate and is begging me to just go through with it, and she'll make it up to me. I've never hated a human being as much as I hate him. I can't be in the same room with him, let alone walk arm in arm with him. I understand the whole wedding doesn't need to fall apart because I'm upset. So I just want to not go and spend the day downing the leftover Paracets from my wisdom teeth operation, effing as many Tinder dudes who can stand to be around me after not showering, and burning all of his stuff. Would I be the a-hole if I back out of the wedding? Yeah, okay. This is my thoughts. You are not the main character. I just feel like it's not your wedding party to dictate. Like, I'm sorry, that sucks. It's awful, but you're just gonna have to pretend you don't know who he is. Like, how do you think divorced parents handle when their kids get married and like they have to go to the wedding with their ex-husband? no matter how recent it is. Like, you would still be expected to be there. And if this was a casual friend, I'd be like, "Ah, no, like, don't go. I get it. Like, you feel like love sucks right now, so don't worry about it." This is supposedly your best friend, and you're the maid of honor. Like, you need to put your feelings aside and be there for her because this is her wedding. And I know it sucks, and I know you're feeling it, and you're like, "Am I not allowed to be happy?" and all this, like, it's not fair. I'm sorry, but, like, your relationship is not top of mind for them. They have their own separate relationships with the groom, and if they want you both to be in the wedding, it's their wedding, and I don't think they're being bridezillas or groomzillas by asking you to be okay with that and to be an adult and walk down the aisle. Like, I'm not saying that to minimize your trauma. This is hurtful, this is betrayal. I cannot imagine how you're feeling. It's just you he's if he's still accepted in the group, like, that's their call, and you can't really get upset with that. It's not your wedding. So I think that you could just suck it up a little bit. Like, I'm sorry. So there are 2 edits. Wow, I checked for a few hours to try and sleep and this exploded. I'm so sorry I haven't been reading. I'll try and catch up. Edit 2. Okay, guys, I don't know what the verdict is, but whether or not you voted you're the a-hole or not the a-hole and said I should go anyways to support my friend, we were friends before we were born, our moms were college roommates, and your arguments were the most convincing. I'm gonna suck it up, participate, have fun, make my lock screen image the text from Panama where she said, "Remember you liked doing things to my things?" So when I get sad, I have an instant reminder of who he really is. And when it's all over, I'm going to scream myself hoarse and beat the ever-living F out of my pillows. If I can update a week from now, I will. I still have a lot of reading to do, so thank you all for commenting. Oh, and I do want to also add, obviously, your coping mechanisms are not good. Maybe don't do that, guys. Please reach out if you need help. I know that you're in a breakup and you're in the dumps and that's horrible, but, like, when we get to the point that we're taking things that we shouldn't be and doing things that could be really detrimental to our health, um, it's a little past turning on a Taylor Swift album and crying while we journal our feelings. Like, it's harmful to you and it could have lasting effects long term. So please get help if you need it. I'm sorry you're going through this. This was in 2019, so I hope you're actually doing great now. But I want to tell you guys, if you are going through something similar, that is not the answer. I'm not telling you to do that or encouraging that because it was in a Reddit story. These tend to be more extreme. So I just want to get, like, the point across right now. Just because I read something doesn't mean I'm for it. Or if I even, like, mention it, doesn't mean I'm not for it. I just only have limited time to comment on things, and sometimes I miss things, or it's not, like, the main point I wanna get across. So, whatever, I'm rambling. You guys know what I'm saying. The verdict was not the a-hole, but edit 3 is, "Guys, I've had the worst week of my life. I've been crying almost nonstop since 3 AM last Monday or Tuesday or whatever. I have to clear up people calling my best friend the a-hole. That just isn't the case at all. I never thought she was, but guys, guys, cool it. I love her as much as I love any person on the planet, and she has my back. But this wedding is now a week away. It's not a simple thing of kick me out or asking the ex-fiance not to come. Everyone is furious with him, but only she, me, and he know the details of call girls. My ex's parents, grandparents, and everyone else are going to be at the wedding." Okay, so they are really close. "He's as close with the groom as I am with her." Yeah, you're gonna have to suck it out. That's like a ride or die. As much as, like, cheating is terrible and awful, and they'll deal with it, I think that they're not gonna wanna make it a spectacle and draw attention from their wedding because it's so close at this point. So, it's gonna be handled in private, and you're kinda just gonna have to put on a smile and suck it up, I feared. If they make big changes now, then the day becomes about what he did, not about the wedding. Exactly. It's not my place to demand the groom change his best man, a week out no less. Plus, like I said, he knows my ex cheated. He doesn't know my ex was sleeping with women of the night. If I bring that up, then this whole week becomes about that. My best friend and her groom being a-holes isn't even an option on the table. They didn't do anything wrong and just reacting with the best information they have. My friend is offering me the chance to allow me and ex-fiance to walk in with other people or even separately, but I'm not going to do that. First of all, because I think it will look weird. And secondly, I foresee getting a sick sense of satisfaction of touching him one last time forever and have him know that that spark he feels could have been forever come August, but he effed up. That's true. Own your power. Like, you are a catch, ma'am. And you should know that. You should know he actually lost something. And if you're, like, mourning the loss of him. Like, no, he should be mourning the loss of you. So strut your stuff. So this is the update from 2 days later. So this is almost an indescribable situation because if you would have asked me last Sunday, I would have told you I had a perfect relationship. Monday night he was flying. He's a pilot in the Air Force and had left his phone at my house. In the middle of the night, it buzzed, and it was a call girl named Panama who had quit for a while and was reaching out to old clients because she needed money. I logged into his phone. We shared passwords on almost everything, and at first told her she had a wrong number, but far too much of what she said was identical to him. So I missed the Panama part earlier, and when she said, "I'm gonna use the screenshot of her saying da 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 da," why did I think it was the song Panama? Like, it was lyrics from that song, and I was like, "I don't remember that. They didn't play that part in Family Guy." But Panama was the call girl. Okay, continuing. I confronted him when he got home, and he didn't try to deny it at all. He confessed that he had seen 2 separate call girls for about a year, some at the same time. He claims he's a spice addict and has been in treatment for about a year. I knew he was in counseling, but I thought it was for grief of a friend of his dying overseas. He promises me that he hasn't seen either of the girls for 18 months, and that's the only time he's ever cheated in the 6 years we've been together. He still should have told you, like, this should have been something you worked through together. I feel like your relationship, especially when you're engaged, is a trial for marriage. Like, it's always a trial for marriage. It's just like when you start out dating, you've got like training wheels on, if you're actually serious, and this is a long-term thing. And then you start going over harder obstacles, and maybe you end up like losing the training wheels, and eventually you're on a mountain bike and you're on the side of a cliff and something just exploded and you got to just figure it out. Like, that's how I view dating and then engagement and then obviously marriage. So he should have told you that he was going to counseling for this. Uh, Especially if you guys were engaged, because it's your spicy time too. Like, you're in a monogamous relationship where you're going to be together for the rest of your life. If this is something he's struggling with, yes, it's mainly about him, but it affects you too, especially if he's sleeping around with women who you don't know their history, and that's affecting like your health. Like, he should have told you right away, and if he cared about you, he would have. So yeah, keep it moving. He can be sorry all he wants, but he ain't the one for you. Last week I was livid, like I couldn't stand to be around him lest I might do things I would regret. Last night, in a moment of weakness, I called him because I just wanted to hear from him one more time as to why he did it. Why he needed call girls. I was so open to trying anything in bed, just why. And the truth is, I miss him so much, it's killing me, so a part of me just wanted to hear his voice and know that he's alive in this world. We ended up having the friendliest conversation over the course of about 4 hours since I found out. The reality is I still love him. I love everything about him, except the effing hookers part. Yeah, and this is the thing, like, you're still gonna be in love with him. Just because he did a horrible thing doesn't change that. Like, you don't want to leave him, you just kinda have to. He's broken over this. He's taken himself off the flying schedule in the middle of his instructor upgrade, which may very well be a career staller, and he's doubled up his counseling sessions. He hasn't lied to me, he hasn't yelled at me, he hasn't blamed me for anything. I guess if there's a right way for a cheater to act, he's doing it. All of this is complicated because we are scheduled to be maid of honor, best man, in a respective best friend's wedding this coming Saturday. Both of us agree that we don't want our drama to come in the way of their good day. So while we aren't going together, we are going to put on our happy faces for the 4 minutes we have to be around each other. But I'm worried I'm going to break when I see him, tall, glorious, and handsome in his tux. I am so devastated I don't know what to do. I miss him more than I miss any other person, but I also hate him more than I hate any other person. What in the hell should I do? Can a cheater ever change? There is another update. This is 8 days after the first update. I've logged into this throwaway a couple of times over the past week, and honest to go, have 50 DMs and comments asking me with an update, so here you go. Some of you may also know that my story got featured on major news websites and blogs. It was crazy. I left way too much identifiable info in my post, so pretty much all my social circle knew it was me, and it also was the way most everyone figured out my ex had been cheating. We had a meeting among the 4 of us as to whether or not we proceed. Pretty much agreed that not showing up would cause more drama and whispers than if we didn't show up, so we agreed to be civil and stay in our respective places. But having to spend that hour or so in the same room with him just fueled me up with adrenaline and pure rage. That led into bachelorette party that night where I got effing hammered and honest to God made out with so many guys while dancing I can't even count. I also ended up having my first one-night stand ever with the 20-year-old super cute guy from our university's wrestling team who was so sweet. I'm not proud of doing that, but I'm also not ashamed either because it made me feel desirable and almost like I was going to into the wedding day and rehearsal with some parody since he can be naughty too. Okay, I don't like that. One thing about me is I am very, very aware of when I'm drinking. Like, read the room. Would you get drunk off your butt if it was someone's birthday? Would you? Knowing that it's like their birthday, would you want them to take care of you and like be your DD? Or would you say, hey, do whatever you want, go crazy. I'll be here to watch your back? That's like something that's so important to me. I never drink on my friends' birthdays. Like if they want to do a shot or two and I know we're Ubering or we can walk home, that's one thing. Like, if I'm not gonna be driving or my boyfriend is able to pick us up, yeah, I'll have 1 or 2, but I'm still staying so vigilant because it's your night. I'm not gonna make it where I'm not having fun and, like, that's bringing you down. I'm still fun, in my opinion. But I think it's so important when it's someone else's moment to not be the messy drunk. Like, first off, you're her maid of honor. You should have made sure that that bachelorette was better planned than the Navy. Like, I am telling you, you should have made sure that everything went off without a hitch, to-do list checked off. I get that you're going through a hard time, but under no circumstances should you have been the messy drunk. Under no circumstances should it have been about you. And you've got some major main character syndrome because, like, you can get sloppy drunk, like, if you wanna do that, you can do that any other night, but The Bachelorette is about the bride. You should have, like, stayed sober and made sure she was good. Like I said, 1 or 2 drinks, if you can handle it, do it, you know? That's not a problem, but you shouldn't have gotten this drunk. It's not about you. You only get married once, and this is about her. You can still be sad tomorrow. Like, sometimes we just gotta put our big girl panties on and do it. But this may be a hot take. I'm getting so, like, ooh, okay. I'm either really right or I'm really wrong, but I don't know. X and I were, of course, paired up at rehearsal, and I hate to admit this, we had an absolute blast with each other. It wasn't a mistake that we had such a great and fun relationship. We are very compatible. It probably also worked because we were able to put the issue on the side and focus on something else. Wedding was very much the same way. We walked arm in arm down the aisle with big beaming and genuine smiles since we were there for our friends. I prepared a really nasty maid of honor toast that would have praised my friend and her loving relationship, loyalty, and truthfulness. I even included a line about you never know who is going to call in the middle of the night. But as the reception wore on, I could tell the weight of the situation was really getting to my ex, and I felt like I really didn't need to twist the knife any further, so I gave a nice but very generic toast. I'm guessing by nasty, she meant like it was good, like, oh, it was gonna be a fire, but, like, had little hints about the ex in there. But again, why would you even mention it? Why would you make it about yourself? That should have been about you and, like, the bride and how you've always wanted her to find the love of her life and she found it. Like, nowhere in there should you be focused on being passive aggressive towards your ex. He should not matter. This is, like, driving me insane. Like, guys, main character syndrome is real, but can we not do it on our friend's wedding? As the night went on, X was more and more out of it and sitting by himself, either on his phone or with his head in his hand. I didn't want people talking about him, so I asked him to dance with me, which was actually really, really nice since we both didn't say anything. At the end of it, he put his hands around my face like he was going to kiss me. I totally would have let him in that moment and just whispered how sorry he was and walked away. I got distracted and turned around, and he apparently had left the reception. I hate myself for it, but I was so sad to see him go. This wedding is literally the last thing we ever have to do with each other. There's no exception of GOT Sundays or Bloody Mary brunches with his mom. We won't argue over how bad IPA beer smells or who forgot to put the gas in the car. Like, the reality of him just being able to leave without me arguing that I'm not ready to go yet, classic introvert versus extrovert pairing here, sunk in that this is over. Like, over. I went and cried uncontrollably in the kitchen of the hotel until the bride found me and cried with for a good half an hour. With that, I knew I made the right choice in being there for my friend. So that is that. Wedding is over and done with. No real drama, lots and lots of hurt feelings, and a huge broken heart that I'm not sure how it will ever heal. I wish I could just turn off loving him, but that's not going to happen. Edit, last word on this, guys, and it's really honest to God. I'm going to say thank you. This sub has been such an amazing place and absolutely coaxed me into the right decision. I still have something like 1,200 inbox notifications, and I'm sure the people who gave me gold and silver are in there somewhere. If I don't get to thank you privately, please know that I do thank you. And thank you so much for the words of encouragement that I will move on. I know I will. Right now it's so fresh, and I just keep thinking, God, if you wouldn't have been up that night worrying about work, you never would have seen that text come in, and you'd be ignorant to all of this and happy. But that's not healthy because wishing to live an uninformed and ignorant life is never what I wanted to be. Anyways, I'm indulging in self-pity and I don't want that anymore. This has been a crazy ride and I just want to say thank you. And Fox News, you kind of suck. Did Fox say something about it? Okay. I have given my opinion. I want to know yours. We'll read a couple comments in a second, but I will link all of these in the description if you want to read more of the comments. That is the last update though, but all the original posts are linked. The Best of Redditor is linked. You got it. Top comment on Best of Redditor is they quoted that he had seen 2 separate call girls for about a year, and then they also quoted, and that's the only time he's ever cheated in the 6 years. And they said, only time he made repeated poor decisions for at least a year. And I don't believe it only happened with these 2 women. That's just what he's prepared to admit, since OOP already knew about one and could easily have found out about the second woman from the first one, which is true. And someone else brought up how he framed it as an addiction, but he was still trying to avoid responsibility for his poor decision making, which is like my thought. Like, if it really was, not saying it's not an addiction, but if that's all it was, you don't necessarily have to cheat to do that. Or I guess like you could watch certain things and like never actually go see like another woman, which of course everybody has their own lines of like what is cheating and what's not in those situations. But not every person who has like an addiction to spicy things is a cheater. Really, people are only talking about how like the cheating was 2 women over the course of a year, but none of it talks like about the wedding and like what she should do. Someone did say this needed a mood spoiler for dissatisfying. You didn't want people talking about him after all the things he did and you asked him to dance. Girl. Yeah. A lot of people are saying I think she 100% took him back, and I think so too. I think that's why there's no updates, like genuinely, which is sad. Girly, if you're out there, I hope that you're doing well and if you are back with him, you fully trust him and he did change for the better. If you're not with him, heck yeah, queen. I'm glad that you're doing better. You're not with the cheaters, so that's always good. But let's go ahead and move on into the next story. My 24 female, friends 28 male, girlfriend, 29 female, got publicly humiliated and fired from her job, and she blames me, and he is backing her. You're 24 female. Your friend is a guy, and he's 28. But he has a girlfriend who's 29, so she's 5 years older than you. Okay, I'm following. The original post was posted April 17th, 2016. My friend, let's call him Ted, and his girlfriend have been in a long-distance relationship for many years. The girl, let's call her Ellen, quit her job 8 months ago and came to live with him. During this entire time, Ted and I have been reaching out to everyone we know to help her get a job. A few months ago, I noticed that the name of her last company was incorrect. When I pointed it out to her, she said that that was on purpose, as her company didn't have much of a reputation, so she had basically lied that she used to work at a much more respectable firm and put down her sister's name and references, who worked at the reputable place. I told her that she shouldn't have done that and most certainly not asked me to refer her to people with a blatant lie on her resume. She defended herself saying it wasn't a complete lie and she didn't make up work experience. I told her that's her call, but I wouldn't be able to help her anymore. Yeah, don't do this. Don't do this. This was 10 years ago, so I'm not sure how crazy they were about calling references then, but they call your references. And it has to be like a non-family member and they will find out. And it's just shady. Like, they're gonna find out. You have a digital footprint and they can find out and they will. Like, this is one of those situations. Don't do that. Like, first off, you are a bad person. Like, if you lie about this, like, it's morally not right. But from like a sneaky standpoint, don't lie on like your resume or anything because you will get caught. Like, that's just, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, you'll get caught. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. After that, Ted and I were still on good terms, but neither brought up the job hunt. Some time ago, she finally converted one interview and got an offer. She told me as well, thanking me for all my help. I was genuinely happy for her. She started the job immediately. A week into it, she was in an orientation session with all her peers, and her manager publicly humiliated her for lying and asked her to immediately leave. What? What did I say, guys? Ellen claims that while she was packing her drawer, she overheard him saying to another colleague that someone had tipped him off. She says that since only Ted and I knew about this, it has to be me. Ted says he doesn't believe I did anything, but can't not support her as she's an unemployed, betrayed mess right now. I told you guys, they will find out. Now, this is 2016 when people didn't really consider the internet to be as powerful as it is now. Like, Now, if this were to happen, people would be like, ah, man, they must have found out something on the internet. But I will say, I'm thinking it could not be you. But it is kind of like a coincidence how you yelled at her about it and like immediately after this happens. I get how that seems like a coincidence, but who knows? Ted could have done it. I don't think she could blame you without proof that it was you, and I would hope that you would tell us if it was you because it is a coincidence. Relevant comment. Honey, people's actions prove who they are. Start distancing yourself from these liars who shift blame so they don't have to deal with their own issues. Yes. Okay, so whether you tipped them off or not, you are not a bad person. Like, they still did something wrong. They're just upset they got caught and they're looking for someone to blame. They did something wrong. If they would not have lied, they would not have gotten caught because everything would have been honest. Everything would have been great. Like, they wouldn't have lied. There would have been nothing to get upset about. She wouldn't have gotten fired. It's her own fault. OP did respond and say, in such a needless lie, you're right, shifting blame is exactly what she's doing, playing the victim when it was her own mistake. I just hate that this has caused a rift with Ted. Ted's gonna have to make his own decisions. He's an adult. They're both a little bit older than you by 4 or 5 years. And if that's the hill they want to die on, like if they want to cut relationships out because of that, that's them. Like, it sucks that that's how you find out like who your friends are, but you know. So here is update 1. It's from the same day. Updating here, just spoke to one of Ted's flatmates to ask what's going on. He said Ellen has basically weaved a very convincing story about me liking Ted and hence wanting her to not get a job, here which she claims was the reason I had refused to help her earlier. She's been in tears. Ted tried defending me, at which she started accusing him too. It's a mess, and I'm not sure if I should say or do something here. That was why I pointed out that your friend was with a guy and you're a girl, because I kind of knew, like, she was gonna do this. She's gonna be like, you just like her, she just likes you, because it's, like, just an easy excuse. Like, it's right there. 4 days later, April 21st, 2016. My friend Ted's long-distance girlfriend, Ellen, changed cities to live with him and his 2 roommates. Ted and I helped her hunt for a job for many months before I discovered a lie on her CV and confronted her about it. She said it was deliberate. She got a job recently. Her lie got caught, and she told Ted and the others that I tipped off her boss to make her lose her job. Firstly, thanks to everyone for all your advice. It certainly helped to hear different perspectives. As advised by many here, I dropped a one-line text to Ted and one flatmate. I wasn't very close to the other one. What happened was unfortunate, and I understand that Ellen is upset, but I obviously have nothing to do with this, and I hope you know that too. Speak soon. Cheers. I didn't get a reply from either for 2 days, which is unusual, but I let it be. Yesterday, I texted one flatmate asking about weekend plans, as we all normally do something together. He replied with a huge wall of emotional gibberish, which in summary meant this: that I had done what Ellen claimed without a doubt, that none of them expected such despicable behavior from me, and that I should stay away. I tried calling Ted a couple of times, no reply. Today there was a check-in on his Facebook with the 4 of them and another friend at a nearby beach. That sucks. I'm so sorry. Like, sometimes this happens and it sucks because you're like, I didn't do anything wrong. It's just I was kind of the scapegoat, and there's no way to fix it when it gets to this point. You just kind of have to cut your loss and realize that they didn't, I don't know, your relationship didn't mean as much to them as they thought it did. Because if it did, I feel like something like this, they would have at least given you the benefit of like talking it out and hearing your side, but they didn't. Final comments. Since she basically lied about everything involved in this situation, I wouldn't be surprised if she made up some convincing proof that you were the one who did it. It kind of sounds like she just wanted you out of her boyfriend's life and did what she had to do to get to that. No OP said, yeah, and it's surprising because she never hinted towards being uncomfortable about our relationship before this, ever. It's so frustrating, but I feel like we've all been in a similar situation where friend groups have kind of turned on us over stuff we don't even really understand. It's just a part of growing up. I feel like it's a canon event that we all go through. It just proves who your real friends are, and stick to it. Like, if you know you didn't do anything wrong, you know that you have strong morals, and especially like where you have unbiased opinions, like Redditors telling you you're not the one in the wrong, then you're okay. If you got to shake it off, it hurts. It's sad. These people are, that lack of closure is probably going to bother you the most for the rest of your life. Like, I have friend groups that I still don't understand why I was just like dropped, and it hurts. Like, you don't get it, but you just got to keep moving, and eventually you'll find your people. My best friend's boyfriend has been making AI corn of people we know, and she's staying with him. We're all in our mid-20s. So the original post was from May 10th, 2026, so pretty recent. Hello everyone, this is my first ever post in a throwaway account. I'm very lost and confused with this whole situation, and I'm looking for advice from people who've maybe experienced this before. For some context, me, Cass, her boyfriend, and Ray are all friends, and these are fake names, by the way. Me and Cass have been friends for 17 years, and all of us used to work together, which is how Cass and her boyfriend met, and how we met Ray. We all hang out and game together regularly, but mainly it's me, Ray, and boyfriend gaming. We've all gotten along and never had any drama for the 5 years we've all been friends. This all started earlier this week. I was with Ray, and she asked me if I had heard anything from Cass, because some things went down over the weekend regarding her boyfriend. The story goes that she had been seeing weird behavior in her boyfriend of 5 years over the last several months, prompting her to go through his phone while he's asleep. She then calls Ray, sobbing hysterically at what she found. Cass described seeing AI corn of people they knew. They were generated to make them pregnant with huge boobs. Ew. The bigger issue is that it was of her own sister, as well as a distant friend of hers that lives in another state. And his mom? Wait, so he did one of his mother? Wait, no. Ew. After they ended the phone call, Ray sent a text of support to her, but Cass says that she found worse stuff she didn't want to show or tell Ray about, and says she's going to confront him. Shortly after, she tells Ray that her boyfriend was in the bathroom with his phone, deleting further evidence, and that he doesn't want to talk about it right now. After some short back and forth, Cass tells Ray that the issue is resolved and that they're fine. Hey, so I'm just going to jump in and say that there's no fine for this. There is no sweeping this under the rug. You're going to need to pack it up and move. Move on. This relationship is donezo. This is not okay. After this, I had sent a text to Cass asking if everything was all right and that I was told to check on her. Cass never told Ray not to tell me anything, but she had done a very quick 180 from being pissed to saying that they love each other and will work on it. So I was curious to see if she'd changed the story. Over text, she tells me that it was just a corn addiction that went a little too far. I mean, these are like your friends, though. Like, he's basically cheating with your friends. Okay. You know what? Okay. That he was messing with AI corn and as a result feels angry and disgusted with himself, but claims that he never got off to it nor was he attracted to them. Also that he will be willing to go to therapy once he gets insurance from his new job. She was very adamant that they're fine now, and now she wants to spend the rest of her life with him and have kids. No. One thing I want to mention is it does say that he mentioned, I'm going to put a trigger warning, self-unaliving. If that's something you can't talk about, I'll see you in the next video, or hop to the next story because I will have the times in the description if the chapters aren't up. But let's chat. One thing I noticed with gaslighters, manipulators, narcissists is when they're not getting what they want, a lot of times, if all else fails, they will threaten to do this. That doesn't mean we shouldn't take it seriously. Of course, call that wellness check. Better to be safe than sorry, always. You don't want them to actually do something and call their bluff and it not be a bluff. It's just in very, very manipulative relationships that I have been in. This was always threatened as a last resort, and it is very abusive, and it's wrong. I have seen guys threaten this when they have cheated or done something wrong, and they're like, "I'm so disgusting. Like, I can't do this. You deserve better. You're right." Like, you know what I'm saying? So take it seriously. Of course, you always should, but it is a little bit of a red flag for me to hear that, and I want you guys to be aware of that if you are ever in situations where you're with someone who's saying that and they're threatening that, and it only comes up when you're in fights with them, they're not getting what they want. Like, be aware that that is a common tactic that no one really talks about because it is such a hard topic. But it's something to just know, like, for your safety. And like I said, always do a wellness check if you can. Like, better to be safe than sorry. Get them the help they need. But yeah, it can be a manipulation tactic. We set up a time to call and talk about it, and here's how it went. She started by repeating that what happened was a corn addiction that just got out of control. She told me she found it on his phone, and when I asked if it was people we knew, she told me no, that it was people we don't know from Facebook. So already I'm upset. She's already lying to me, and Ray is absolutely not the type to lie or start drama randomly. When these types of situations happen, I think about what like what stakes people have in this, to lie. And Cass could lie because she's protecting her boyfriend. Ray has no reason to lie. Like, the only reason she would have to lie is to actually not tell you to protect Cass because she doesn't want to cause a rift. I think that the fact she's telling you, based on the information we have and the context we have, makes it even more serious because, like, yeah, she doesn't have a reason to lie, whereas Cass does. I knew I couldn't call her out on anything in the moment. If I did, she would immediately get defensive and shut down on me completely. Instead, I brought up how making it of real people is illegal in our state, and she responded that they have deleted everything. Facebook, Twitter, Grok. If you don't know, that's the AI guy on X. So it's fine. I mean, that content is still out there somewhere and can still be traced back, but I digress. The internet is forever, guys. What got under my skin the most was when I told her that men with AI addictions will commonly make content like that of people they know, friends, family, etc., and how I'm deeply concerned that this is the case. And she responded with, well, I've been dating him for 5 years, with a nervous laugh. I know the kind of person he is. We're all gonna get through this together. Which bothered me because she didn't deny it. The more I tried to make sense of it, the more upset she seemed to get. When I tried to ask her about the thing she found that was worse than the AI, she completely changed the topic and didn't bring it up again. The phone call ended amicably, but nothing really got resolved. To me personally, just the fact that someone made AI corn of real-life people is violating and disrespectful enough for me to cut contact with him. 100% I agree. Like, that is taking away any form of consent. And one, I don't believe that he didn't do anything with the pictures. Two, it's disgusting. And even if he didn't do anything with the pictures. But for it to also be people we know that's close to her and deciding she's going to just stay and forgive him leaves me with an icky feeling. And we're still left wondering about the worst stuff. What could it be that she can't even tell her best friends of 17 and 5 years? I worry it's people under the age of 18. She has not said that at all. But that would be something that's way worse that she would not say. And that's concerning. I'm hurt by her being untruthful with me. I understand the situation could be embarrassing to talk about, and I'm not technically entitled to any of this information. Cass has hidden arguments and details about their fights from us before, saying she doesn't want us to view him differently, as we are all friends, but when I try to tell her what she feels and thinks matters more to me, I get shut down. According to her, this addiction has been going on for months. He's been out of work for a year due to injury. And you don't just start with incest in her family and distant friends. We can't stop thinking about who all else he has done it to. His brother's spouses, his old coworkers. He really doesn't have friends outside of me and Ray, and that's not something we want to think about. That's what I'm worried about too, that it was you guys. And she found that. Where do we go from here? The friendship dynamic is effed. It goes without saying that neither of us feel comfortable around him knowing he's been doing that, but Cass and him have a very codependent relationship. So if we cut him off, we would have to accept potentially losing her too. He tells her he won't ever do it again, and she believes him, but I've heard enough stories of the person reoffending, so I don't have much hope there. I don't think she deserves to be in this situation, and we want what's best for her. Is there anything we can do to help her? So commenter 1 said, I'm willing to bet the thing she doesn't want to talk about is illegal everywhere, which is true. And commenter 2 responded and said, yep, definitely one of those things where it's not like it's real, just doesn't hold up. I wanted to give the dude the benefit of the doubt. He's been out of work for an extended period of time and is probably bored to death. We do weird shit if we're bored enough. But this, especially of friends and family members, that's next level. I'm just really hoping the too bad to tell stuff is the friend being dramatic and not like kids or animals or something. And if it is those things, OP should be so okay with dropping this friend just for staying with the guy. And OOP said, I can definitely understand how a regular schmegular corn addiction could happen. And I wouldn't blink an eye if my buddy was into some weird stuff within reason. I'm not sure if I'm being purposefully ignorant when I say I'm fairly sure there's nothing underage. But even if I asked, I know I wouldn't get the truth. Yeah, but like, you also didn't probably expect him to do this. So, and you probably would have said, I'm fairly sure he would never do anything like this before. So that's where I'm at. Commenter 3 makes a really good point. They say, Cass needs your support more than she needs condemnation of him. She didn't confide in you, probably fearing your reaction. She needs time to assimilate. This is her long-term relationship. She's invested in it. To leave will be difficult, complete upheaval. There are financial implications. If she chooses to stay, no doubt she will be paying a lot of attention to his online activities. While they are perverse and distasteful, you have no proof of who he utilized. You can choose to exclude him from your social circle, remove access to your online presence. You can advise Cass that if he publishes any of his material that he may be a part of police investigations purely instigated by the searches the police carry out as normal policing of the internet. That material is not copyrighted and therefore may be published without his knowledge, but be traceable back to him. Yeah, guys, if you didn't know, AI material isn't copyrighted. So say you use AI to write a book and then you publish that book. You don't own that book. Anyone can steal that book because you cannot copyright AI material just for your information. I found that out and I thought that was interesting. You can't offer her support while excluding him, but expect to lose her if she needs you. No P said, this is a very mature take. Thank you so much. We're hoping to give her a little more time, which will allow her to wake up. It's just hard to support someone who won't accept it. These are the hardest friend relationships to navigate when you don't agree with their partner, because like if you don't like their partner and you bring that up, they're not going to tell you things. And if you worry about their safety, which in this case, anytime someone's doing something weird and not consensual and very like insane, honestly, just flat out insane, I get nervous for their partner's safety, like the woman's safety. So I want to push her away, but how do you not push her away while also not being okay with that? Because obviously you don't want this man around either. And I would love to know your guys' thoughts on this if you're on a platform where you can comment. Like, how do you navigate situations with friends where you don't agree with like their partner or whatever and put your foot down about it while still being in their life? Like, I don't beat a dead horse. I tell you my opinion once and you know my opinion. But this is very sensitive. So even if she were to say once, this is horrible, this is disgusting, Cass may never talk to her again. And it's her safety. Like, you got to get her out of there. So yeah, it's hard. It's just hard to navigate and there's no right answer, but I'm curious to know what you guys think. So there is an update from the next day, May 11th. Thank you to everyone who took the time to read my post and comment. I have an update to share to those that are interested. Something that I left out of the first post was that the phone call we had took place the day before her birthday, and that her birthday party was going to be a couple days later. Me and Ray agreed we would still be going and would do our best to still treat her as we always have and make her feel special and loved on her day. She cares very deeply about her birthdays, and we didn't want anything to ruin her night. But that we wouldn't really speak to her boyfriend unless spoken to. Spoiler, he didn't speak or even look at us the whole night. The party took place at a local bar we love, and everything was going smoothly. We greeted each other, hugged, ordered drinks, and did all the normal things girls do at bars together. I'm assuming Cass picked up on the fact that me and Ray weren't going to talk to her boyfriend, and neither did our fiancés. In our defense, he did isolate himself from the entirety of the group, because after a couple of drinks, she pulled me and Ray outside of the parking lot to talk. The conversation with the three of us began with her saying she wanted to clear the air a bit. To her credit, she started by admitting that she had given me and Ray opposing information and wanted to be clear to me that what Ray had told me was in fact the truth. I told her that it hurt that she lied to me, and she hits me with, but you have to understand, I was hurting. Yes, she obviously is the one ultimately being betrayed and hurt here, but there was no acknowledgement nor an apology for lying. Yeah, I'm glad, like, it is very mature of her to pull you aside and get ahead of that and, like, admit that. That was very big of her. But also, it's to say I was hurting, like, yes, but hurt people hurt people. Just because you were hurting doesn't mean you were absolved of any responsibility for, like, how you were treating people. And you can just be the worst person on the planet with no issues. Like, obviously she's not being, but in general. So I don't like that she didn't apologize. I feel like she knew that it was coming and she wanted to get ahead of it, which bringing it up is the mature thing to do, but she kind of weaponized it and brought it up in a way that was manipulative. So I don't know if that's like a green flag or a red flag. I feel like it's both. She tells us that the reason he made the AI corn was because of the abuse he went through as a child. Will not be going into detail to protect his privacy. All good, girl. And then she just kind of stared at us. Like, she had pulled the ultimate win con or had played all 5 pieces of Exodia. We tried to argue that or is it Exodia? I don't know. Sorry guys, I'm not familiar with that. Please don't roast me. We tried to argue that while we were sympathizing with him and are deeply sorry that he went through that, it cannot be used as an excuse or explain away his behavior. She seemed genuinely upset that we didn't just forgive him right then and there and move on. I hate this logic because, like, things can be a reason without being an excuse. Like, if someone does something horrible, like, we're taking this to the extreme. Say that someone murders someone else. And then they say, well, I had a horrible childhood. This happened. And they list all of these horrible things that happened. Yes, those are reasons. And they are horrible. I'm so sorry they happened to you. But that does not give you the excuse to then go do something horrible and awful. It's a reason, and it's so awful, and it's not fair, and it's horrible. But it's not like a get out of jail free card to go do another horrible, atrocious thing. Like, it's not like a pass it on. Um, so I hate that she's like, I don't get why you aren't just forgiving him. Because you can't use that as an excuse. It's a reason. It's not an excuse. And I feel like he has probably been hardcore manipulating her and like being like, babe, but this is how I feel. And this is what happened to me. Don't you feel sympathetic? Babe, you're a horrible person if you don't think that this was horrible. And like, I guarantee she's getting it from him. And it's just sad. Ray goes on to tell her that now wasn't the best time to discuss all of this. And her and Cass were fairly drunk by this point. And that tonight was about celebrating her, and we should focus on her having fun. Also, she should take more time to truly process everything and consider if she really is okay with what he did. If she's really okay with the fact that he made stuff of her sister and his mom. But this only led to another rant about how she's fine and it doesn't affect her. As we tried to voice several of our concerns, we were constantly being interrupted and talked over. But you know that isn't like him, or, but his trauma, etc. I even tried to ask her to let me get my full thought out before she responded, but I was interrupted twice just trying to get out one sentence. It became very clear to both me and Ray that she didn't want to actually have a conversation. She wanted us to listen to her, but she didn't want to listen to us. She wasn't retaining anything we said. She was just waiting for her turn to speak. For those wondering if it was kids, she was very adamant that she didn't see anything like that, and wasn't entertaining our concerns about it either. This wasn't going anywhere, nor was it productive. We eventually convinced her that we should all go back inside and try to enjoy the night, and that we should talk about this when we're not 2/3 drunk and in the cold. Things were awkward for a bit, but we all seemed to recover quickly. I took Ray home at the end of the night, and as it stands, neither of us want a friendship with her boyfriend going forward. But how we feel staying friends with Cass is still blurry. We both already have blocked him on everything, but we are still leaving the line open to Cass in case she somehow snaps out of it. I wasn't sure if it was important to add in the first post, but Cass has BPD, which explains her strong attachment to him, as well as how we have to go about speaking to her. We have to make sure our tones are even. If there's any hint of aggression or disdain, then it'll trigger her abandonment wound and cause a meltdown. I also added this to say that just straight cutting her off could have potentially dangerous implications to her, but we have yet to see eye to eye on this, and I doubt we will. Thank you all for reading this far. All advice and comments have been very helpful. Me and Ray have been reading all of them and considering our options. That is the most recent post. Let's read commenter one's thoughts. Please drop this friend. She needs therapy. You're not responsible for her emotions or her behavior. I guarantee this girl is so unregulated or delusional that she'll actually become an enabler to her boyfriend's addiction. Okay, that was my thought. I'm so glad somebody else said that because I don't have BPD, but I have experience of friends who have BPD. And they have used it to do some horrible things. I've experienced BPD meltdowns. They're very real. Again, I don't have it, but I've seen it. And it's not something that is easy to navigate by any means. It's a very, very, very hard illness. And I am so, so sorry to anyone who has to deal with it because I know how hard it is. Like, it's not easy. And you don't know, like, there are times when they just, like, are fully convinced that something is real when it's not, or, like, someone is out to get them and they're not, and, like, they're abandonment wound and all of these things, like, trauma just makes it so much worse. It is a hard diagnosis. All that being said, you cannot expect everybody else to walk on eggshells because you don't have good coping mechanisms. I run BPD, but I swear I have like 99% of the other ones. I'm just collecting them like infinity stones. I have OCD meltdowns over certain things. I used to be way worse, but you have to have proper coping mechanisms to mitigate that. Like, again, it's not the same thing, but you cannot rely on the world to be soft in your presence. Like, you can't just walk into a room and expect everybody to know that you have a certain mental illness and they have to treat you a certain way. And I get that these are your friends, so, like, they should be, like, gentle with you and such. But also, it's not their responsibility to make sure you are regulated. It's your responsibility to get on the proper medication, eat the proper diet. Mental health is so, so, so heavily impacted by what and how you're eating. If you didn't know, look that up. That's a fun little rabbit hole to go down. But if you're like eating bad, you're going to be dysregulated. If you're not getting enough sleep, you're going to be dysregulated. If you are on the wrong medication or your medication gets to a point where it just like stops working, you're going to be dysregulated. These are things that you and only you are responsible for. And you can't get, like, it's not your friend's responsibility to make sure that this is all good and not be able to like hold you accountable for your actions or tell you when they're worried about you simply because you will have a meltdown if you hear it. So sorry for that little rant. We're going to finish commenter one's little blob. It concerns me that she already has you and Ray trained to treat her with kid gloves because of her BPD. I know you both feel responsible for your friend, but if your friend is actively taking the side of a person who has probably used your image and made AI of you, then what do you expect to happen? Do you and Ray believe you both trained relationships and BPD therapists and that you'll help her snap out of it? It's wild that you both actually went out and celebrated her birthday after this. I was thinking that too. Of course, she's going to be shocked or thrown off by the fact that all is not actually forgiven. You both should have immediately set some lines in the sand. But sure, if you want to expose yourself and any other woman or child you know to her twisted boyfriend's AI inspirations, continue to hang out with her. And commenter 2 said, it's frustrating that OP can't even see when they explain that his trauma doesn't make up for what he's doing, yet they're also defending their best friend the same way. Very true, and OOP did actually respond to that. OOP said, you're right, I know it's over, Ray knows it's over. I was doing my best to keep the post somewhat neutral, but her actions as well as his, obviously, aren't possible to defend. I think you're bringing up her mental health issues could bring in more context as to why this is so frustrating. I can see that I was doing the same thing I was complaining about. Thank you. So, commenter 3 did say, by BPD, do you mean bipolar or borderline personality? Because if it's the second, walk the F away from her right now. This is not going to get better, and by the end, you'll be the villain, and you will lose a lot of friends in a not very pleasant way. And OOP said, borderline. Funny you say that last part. I already have lost friends, mainly in high school, but yeah. I'm used to taking her side, but I can't do it this time. Yeah, okay. Not that everyone who has BPD is like a bad person. You're not. I promise you. It's just that when left unmedicated and to its own devices, it can get very out of hand very quickly. And I just like, if you guys are interested in that, do your own research on it. I don't want to like bring a ton into it because the only experiences I've had with it have been with people who have not been medicated, and it's been like a very scary and bad situation. So I don't want to put a horrible light on it. I want you guys to go do your own research that's not biased and make your own conclusions. But since that was a comment, I wanted to read that out so that they kind of made the distinction between the two and we kind of got more context. I think that's the last one I'm going to read. I was going to read one more, but I don't think we have time. So if you guys would like to hear more stories, then you are in luck because I have a whole podcast dedicated to them, or I have a playlist on my YouTube called Story Times that is just story times. So you can check that out, get all the tea. And yeah, if you want to check out these stories, they're going to be in the description. So do that. Do your own thing. Read the comments, whatever you want to do. But don't forget to tell me your opinions on all of these. What do you think? How would you navigate these situations? Who's in the right? Who's in the wrong? I want to hear all the tea. I want to yap about it. I told you my opinion, so I expect to hear yours, you know? That's how friendship works. But that is pretty much it. I will catch you guys on my next podcast episode. I upload every single Sunday and Wednesday. And that's pretty much it. Love you guys. Bye.